What role does sex have towards the path of enlightenment? The forces of when we take birth, take an incarnation, and we become separate entities, we start to identify, or we are separate entities, and then we start to identify with that separateness. That which we identify with as a separate entity has a certain agenda. And the agenda is focused in the first three chakras. The first part of the agenda is survival. And you could see this almost at the level of the species has to maintain itself. So the first thing it has to do is survive. And then once it survives, it has to reproduce. And then once it reproduces, then it has to have power over its environment in order to keep all that game going. So there's the first three chakras. So a lot of what you call sexual energy is built into the system of the incarnation. Now, it is also looked at from another way. It is the Kundalini energy. It is the Shakti. It's the force of the universe. And when you understand the way the chakras work, you see that the energy starts, and then as it rises up the sushumna or the spine or whatever it is, it goes into these different forms of expression along the way. And from a spiritual point of view, awakening, which we can see is going beyond thought if we do it from the dhyana way, or going beyond the lover and the beloved if we do it from the devotional way, is taking the energy through all its forms of expression up until it merges with the energy of the universe, and there's only one energy, which is the seventh chakra, or the 1,000-petal lotus. So under those cases, the energy that is built into the incarnation for survival and for reproduction, and now we're talking about the one for reproduction, you take that energy from a spiritual point of view. First of all, you can awaken the Kundalini through working with that sexual energy. You arouse it through those patterns that are built in, and those patterns are built in. The fact that somebody turns you on is just like the little duckling that opens its mouth when a silhouette of the mother is presented to it. I mean, it's an instinctual built-in process, built into your genes and a whole set of things. Once that awakening happens of that energy, then if you don't get caught in lust, and that's why all the Bibles say thou shalt not lust. It doesn't mean thou shalt not have sex or thou shalt not enjoy sex. It just says thou shalt not lust, which means to see another being as an object to manipulate to become gratified. When you don't get caught in that identification, but you just stay open with the energy and keep working with the energy and moving the energy and moving the energy, the whole sexual encounter, it takes you into a deeper and deeper, and takes both of you into a unitive state of awareness. So the problem is that what lust does is it keeps you separate. And then usually at the moment of orgasm, there's a moment in which you forget yourself, which is really a transcendent moment. I mean, for most people, sex is their vehicle for transcending who they think they are. That's why there's masturbation. That's why there's sexual intercourse. They're addicted to getting out of themselves for a moment. In our culture, it's usually, for the man, very brief, and for the woman, less brief. But the predicament is, since we don't have a conceptual model of what that moment is, we say, oh, I went crazy. I went out of my mind. And then, well, now I'm back among my senses. Was it good for you? And all of that stuff. The moment of, and the art of using sexual tantra is to use that arousal that occurs to keep merging into a deeper and deeper oneness with the other person, with your partner, until it's really one making love with itself, in which case then you are both partners doing it. So then it's an internal matter. And it's not something that's divisive, it's something that's unifying. The question of whether sex is unifying or divisive, very many people, you will notice that after intercourse they feel very isolated and alone. And that's because their sex came out of lust. And it was, am I getting my needs gratified? Their identification with their needs is creating suffering for them. And there's a way of having the needs and having them awakened and working with the energy and not identifying with the needs and building them more and more and more and more. And whether you have orgasm or not isn't as critical a matter, because you come into the one state and then you're not working out of need any longer. It's all just what it is. The process is the end. The end and the means are the same thing. So sex is an extremely exquisite technique of spiritual work, but it is the toughest one to work with, or as tough next to survival maybe. But it's tough because it's so easy to get caught in the desire systems.